And well, with that, let's get you breaking updates coming in. A major escalation is unfolding in Taiwan Strait, a region long seen as a flashpoint in global geopolitics. In one of the biggest show of force this year, China has surrounded Taiwan with at least 19 warships, including its Shandong aircraft carrier and dozens of fighter jets. In fact, the People's Liberation Army says that these drills are a stern warning to what it calls separatist forces inside Taiwan. The timing, the scale and the rhetoric from Beijing all point to a deliberate pressure tactic that is aimed at Taiwan, which elected its president Lai Ching-te in May 2024. My colleagues Shinjoy Chaudhary as well as Rishabh are joining us on the broadcast. Ambassador Deepak Varra is also on the broadcast with us. A very good morning to you and thank you for joining us. First, let me take this across to Ambassador. What would you say China is trying to send out, the message that China is trying to send out with that? This is an unprovoked escalation.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Early in the morning, always a pleasure. I've heard your introductory remarks. No wonder you are the best, as is your channel, and I'll be carefully listening to my other colleagues. What is my first response? My first response is, "Aare bhai, neend aa rahi hai, sone ja raha hu main." They keep doing this regularly, this kind of thing. Now, let me tell you what is going on at the moment, ma'am. Perhaps someday you'll have a discussion. July last year, plenary of the Chinese Communist Party and all kinds of consultative committees were there. 2 weeks, this ping pong, ting tong, whatever the fellow's name is, the Chinese leader, he went missing. He had a stroke. And the elders of the party, which is normally very secretive, got together and started sacking his loyalists, military and civilian, which is happening right now. So Ting Ling's power is down to a quarter of what it used to be. He has been completely sidelined. Now, this exercise is perhaps a last hurrah because he is telling people that we still have the power to deal with Taiwan. Had he wanted to take Taiwan, he would have done years ago. What will be the result? China will face international opprobrium and sanctions from across the world. Its economy will be strangulated. Nobody will buy stuff from China. That Belt and Road Initiative, which is already dying, will be completely buried. You can see what's happening in Panama. Panama Canal is being taken over by America. They'll put 500,000 to 1.5 million tariffs on every Chinese ship passing through there. China is going to hurt badly. This is, if I may use the word undiplomatic, sheer madness. It's stupidity what they are trying to do. Taiwan will hit back. And ma'am, finally, I hope the Chinese have seen what's happening in Ukraine. A much smaller military has been pushing back, holding out against a much stronger military for 3 years.
Absolutely. Srinjoy, how do you read the situation? Because China being expansionist is not something new, and we've seen what has happened over the last few years as well. But it looked with governments across the world taking a very strong stance, it looked that like China was slowing down. Is this a clear message that it's not going to happen?
Well, first of all, China also knows the cost of invading Taiwan, because Taiwan has a very strong military, particularly its air force is strong, and the Americans have given the Taiwanese enough weapons, including fighter planes, to fight back. So while Taiwan is certainly in no way as strong as China militarily, and perhaps no other country except America currently is, in terms of sheer numbers, the Taiwanese can deter the Chinese very and incur costs. So that's something the Chinese know. What China is doing is muscle flexing. They've done this before. They will do this again because of various things. They are also not happy that American politicians have been dropping in and saying hello in Taiwan often enough. They are also not unaware of the fact that certain things are happening all over the world. Here is President Donald Trump saying, okay, maybe we can take over Greenland. Now, maybe we can take over Panama. Things like that are being said. Whether it will happen or not, we don't know. So the Chinese can turn around and think that, well, if the Americans want Greenland, we may not be able to take Taiwan, but we can surely make noises, because at this point, there are two things happening. One is the Chinese are expanding their fleet of nuclear submarines to a level that is almost incredible. They have increased the size of the place where they makes their nuclear submarines of both kinds, and they're going ahead at full speed. The fact that they are building more aircraft carriers is more in the public domain, and that's visible for everyone to see. So if you have so much strength, then you want to do something with it, right? And if you have that strength, then you want to at least make Taiwan a little aware of that strength. Maybe you will not invade, but at least you can tell Taiwan and the little countries nearby, Philippines, Malaysia, Vietnam, that look, we are strong.
Absolutely. But, you know, the US equation comes in, and I can see Ambassador Vora all smiles as well when you speak about the cost of what this would be, about China being expansionist and whatnot. So over a 24-hour window, Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense has reported 19 Chinese naval vessels, 15 warplanes and multiple missile units maneuvering around the island. So this is a near-siege simulation. Taipei has in fact responded, scrambling its own fighter jets, activating coastal missile systems as well, all tracking the PLA activity. The drills are taking place in the waters east, west and south of Taiwan. So it's a 360-degree strategic encirclement. Well, Rishabh, you know, the escalation that we are seeing and the response of Taiwan at the moment, there is a US equation that comes in as well. Recently, the US Defense Chief Pete Hegseth had also vowed to counter China's aggression. So with China taking this step, what would it mean for the world?
Well, it's not only United States, Pratibha. If we talk about recently, in last 2 weeks, we have seen joint statements coming in from US, Japan, which spoke about the peace in the Strait and also warned against any escalation. The Japanese foreign minister, when he spoke to Wang Yi just last week, he also spoke about how the peace in the Strait is detrimental for the region. So, you know, be it Japan, be it European Union, be it the countries in the region, or for that matter, United States, they all are batting for the peaceful Taiwan Strait. With this escalation that we are seeing as a tri-services exercise, and just taking a cue from Ambassador Vora and Shinjoy, it will come with a cost, and it will not only come with a cost militarily but also trade-wise. You know, tariff war is the new word right now in the global diplomacy, and if China dares to move ahead apart from exercise, if they actually go into invasion or aggression on the Taiwanese island and try and counter their sovereignty, it is going to cost them trade-wise as well. Having said that, we have seen that how confident Taiwan is. Just yesterday, when the joint statement came in from the Bangladesh-China meeting in Beijing, Taiwan was quick to rebut and call out Bangladesh on its stand for the one China policy. So in a way, Taiwan do understand that it's not going to be Ukraine-like situation. In Taiwan, the interest of West is very, very important. It's paramount, and they will come to support Taiwan. So it's not going to be a drag 3-year war as well.
Okay, all right. Before I go to Ambassador, I want to also speak about Beijing accusing President Lei of promoting separatism. And in fact, China has gone so far as to call him a parasite. The president, though, on his part, has pushed back firmly, calling China's foreign hostile force and vowing to protect Taiwan's democracy. And this is no routine drill as well. Military analysts also say that this marks the most aggressive PLA maneuver since the Taiwan elections and signals China's increasing readiness to use force. Well, Ambassador, it seemed like you had a lot to say. You were all smiles when we were mentioning China. But, on the U.S. equation as well, would you say that this is something that China does all the time? So, the world need not take note, because U.S. has also made its stance extremely clear.
You're so right, ma'am. This is a pretend game. China pretends that Taiwan is part of Chinese territory. Taiwan pretends that it can break China's teeth at any time. It issues its own currency, its own passports. It has its own system of government. And of course, the Americans pretend that they are committed to one China while they are arming Taiwan. So it's a pretend game. I call this in America, one of the most popular things, as your colleagues would know, is the triangle dance, where three people dance. Today, the dance in 2025 in this area is Taiwan, China, and the United States. I call it the triangle. And China has lost. It's lost the dance, so now it's taken to I've served in New Zealand, to the Maori war cry, which is the haka, which is, oh, ho, 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 maringe tereko. That's what it's trying to do. Ma'am, take it from me. The People's Liberation Army, despite all its numbers, all the ships they are building, the largest navy in the world, the largest navy in the universe, etc., they do not have the strength to fight. It's an aging military, ma'am.
Okay.
Let's call the bully a bully and say that you have nothing. You cannot. Madam Galwan में पिटाई हुई थी कि नहीं उसकी? कहाँ गई the PLA? If it had anything to do, it would be fighting the Philippines now and taking over. Why is it so scared that Philippines is buying BrahMos from us?
So you're saying that the military aggression is nothing but haka dance. That's what you've reduced it to. Let's see if that's how the world is going to see it as well. But we also want to bring our attention to what Bangladesh has said. And as we shift our attention, while on one hand we speak about what China has done, the Bangladesh interim chief, Mohammad Yunus, has made a direct pitch to Beijing and invited China to make an extension in the region, while mentioning that the 7 northeastern states of India remain landlocked. That's the claim that has been made by Yunus. In fact, Yunus urged the Chinese government to set up its economic base in the country, while saying that Dhaka was the only guardian of the ocean in that region. Dhaka also conveyed its willingness to work with Beijing to promote the construction of the Chittagong China Economic and Industrial Park near the southeastern coast of Bangladesh. Listen in to what he said.
7 states of India, eastern part of India, called 7 Sisters. They are landlocked country, landlocked region of India. They have no way to reach out to the ocean. We are the only guardian of the ocean for all this region. So this opens up a huge possibility. So this could be an extension of the Chinese economy, build things, produce things, market things, bring things to China, bring it out to the whole rest of the world. That's a production house for you. So that's the opportunity we should seize and we should implement, we should get it done.
So this is what Mohammad Yunus claims. Amid the remark from Bangladesh, the Assam Minister Ashok Singhal has also cautioned China and said that if Bangladesh toes the same line, then India will have an additional state. Meanwhile, the opposition has questioned India's foreign policy and said that now even countries like Bangladesh, which were born with the efforts of India in 1971, could dare speak like this. But the political rhetoric of it aside, what would it mean for the entire region? That's where our focus is going to be. And Ambassador Vora, I want you to come in here on, Bangladesh. We've seen what has happened with Sri Lanka. Does it mean lessons are not learned? What is Bangladesh trying to do by sending this olive branch to China?
Ma'am, there's no olive branch. Let me put it to you like this. What is the lesson of history? The lesson of history is that there is no lesson of history. This buffoon, the duffer of Dhaka, chap you call Mohammed Useless Khan, not Useless Khan, whatever his name is. The fellow has no idea. He used to be Hillary Clinton's cook and now he's suddenly become chief advisor to himself. They don't have a government. He's unconstitutional. He's unelected. He's illegal. So he goes up there and says the 7 northeastern states have this, that, and the. What is he trying to say? The man hasn't a clue. You think the Chinese are going to come and detach those 7 states? They'll have their teeth smacked. Why would China want to do it? Why would China look to Bangladesh? Ma'am, is Bangladesh a terribly atheist country? These days you find the hardcore Islamists there. Have you heard of the Uyghurs? 1.2 million sitting in camps in China. China detests Islam. You think it's going to mollycoddle Bangladesh? And let me put it to you like this. Wherever China has gone, and I say this very slowly, wherever it has gone, it's messed around. It's left behind a trail of blood. You mentioned Sri Lanka. Look at Myanmar. Look at our neighbor Pakistan. Look at Afghanistan. Look at Maldives. Wherever it goes, it leaves behind a mess because they don't understand a thing about international relations. I'm sorry to have to say this, ma'am.
Okay. But, any growing influence of China will be of concern to India. So, Srinjoy, why did Yunus mention the 7 states in India while calling itself the gateway to the region?
It's a pretty undiplomatic thing to say. But the Chinese actually have a foothold in Bangladesh, and they have had one for a while. Just to give you one example, they are building a submarine base in a place called Pekua. Now that submarine base is still called BNS Sheikh Hasina because work started when Sheikh Hasina was Prime Minister. Now that submarine base is for 6 submarines. How many submarines does the Bangladesh Navy have? Only 2. And they don't work properly. So that's something to keep in mind. The Chinese have been trying to get involved with Bangladesh for a long time.
Okay.
But this is the first time that the top leader from Bangladesh has gone to Beijing and said what he has said.
Yes.
Of course, what Mohammad Yunus has said is extremely uncalled for.
Absolutely.
You want a relationship, you want a friendship with Bangladesh and China, that's fine. Why involve the 7 Indian states
Yes.
and say they are landlocked and so that is actually asking for trouble in some ways.
Absolutely. Shinzo and Ambassador Deepak Vohra, thank you for joining us on the broadcast. A lot more to speak about, but we're running out of time. Slipping into a very quick break here. We'll be right back.